Okay, so sometimes the Russians on Russian state media make points that are profound that help us understand how they're thinking about the war. Maybe not the points that they thought that they were making, but they help us like get into their mindset. This is one of those videos. So special thanks to the Russian Media Monitor. They always do great work bringing this forward. Here we're going to pick up about halfway through, and this gentleman is explaining how why is Russia taking so long to take care of these men in Kursk? Why? How come we're not seeing these results? And but he's helping us by helping us see how Russians see and what they're trying to project into Russian minds about how they should be seeing what's going on the battlefield. Okay, so here we go. But first, what has or doesn't have strategic importance is determined by top-ranking military commanders. Secondly, until you achieve total victory over the enemy, you can't say what does or doesn't have strategic importance. Once you win on your own conditions, then you can evaluate it. As for now, they've achieved an effect, they being uh, the Ukrainians have achieved an effect, and he's lamenting that they have achieved this effect. And it's not just a military effect in Kursk, and I've been saying this for some weeks now. It's actually psychologically destabilizing the situation. It's moving the center of gravity from where it was, where they're just being ground down toward Pokrovsk, which is still happening, to something that's really unnerving to the Russians. In these times, information has political effect and a military effect as well as a psychological effect. People can't understand why we still can't liberate the territory of the Kursk region. After all, aren't you the mighty Russian army, the second army in the world? I mean, that's how you've built yourself for a long time, and that's what we thought a couple years ago. But they're either unwilling or unable to do it. Now, the unwillingness is, I think, more than unable, because if they shifted enough troops, they could push the Ukrainians out of Kursk, but they're not willing to stop their advance toward something like Pokrovsk and really push the Ukrainians back out. They're just not willing to do that. They're willing to sacrifice it because, as my friend Greg Terry talked about, it's just another Russian territory. Pokrovsk and the Donetsk region is, in their minds, as much a Russian territory as Kursk is. And so yes, it's an invasion on their historical classic lands. He talks about this here, but it's more than that. All of it belongs to Russia in their mindset. Okay, I have an explanation, but I'm not an expert. Although I do have life experience, what is your understanding of why that is? I won't go into the most sensitive issues and problems, but in particular, we should acknowledge that Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance groups are doing very effective work. Wow, for him to admit that on Russian state TV is a real significant shift compared to what you generally see. You generally see, oh, it's just a special military operation. It's not a war. It'll be over in no time. We're going to crush them. We're just holding back. We're restraining ourselves. If we just allowed ourselves to take off the restraints, right? You see that kind of thing, this blustering. But they're actually doing very effective work, and we should wrap our minds around that. On the territory of classic Russia. Okay, let's stop there. Of classic Russia, that means it's the Russian state as we knew it, but Ukraine is actually part of Russia too, or at least these four oblasts that just scooped up and Crimea are also part of Russia. And probably most of the rest of Ukraine is also part of Russia as well. It's just it's all ours is the way that Russians tend to think about this. On the territory of classic Russia in the Kursk region, I haven't seen these kinds of actions of sabotage on the enemy's territory. Perhaps I'm just unaware of them. Maybe it's so well concealed that I don't see it, but the military correspondents aren't reporting it. Meanwhile, they're acting effectively. Naturally, it's difficult to destroy small groups of saboteurs on a large territory. Okay, and that's a fair point. If you're so one of Russia's problems, especially think about this in relation to drone warfare. One of Russia's problems is it's so big, it's hard to defend, right? They say the bigger they are, the harder they fall. That's true. Like in martial arts and judo, a big guy is going to fall really hard. Okay. you don't have enough anti-aircraft defense to put everywhere. Much of it is concentrated in Ukraine. So they can hit this oil refinery and that oil depot and this base and that other thing when they have the drones to do it. So that's true. They're so big that it becomes a problem. You could send an army of tanks or two divisions. We probably have them. That's true. They do have them, but they don't have the political will to send them there. And they are confounded by if they use conscripts, the people don't like that they're using their sons in order to do it. And if they send soldiers from that are contract soldiers from the SMO, the special military operation, they're getting paid less if they go from Ukraine into Kursk, and they don't like that. And so they're bringing back some Wagnerite mercenaries from Africa right now in order to do it. But it takes time. This isn't World War II, not the Great Patriotic War. They would have to wipe out everything that is all the roads and the homes. There's already a lot of destruction there. Some have gone to the point of saying that this gambit somehow benefits us. Right. I saw a Russian propagandist say this just the other day. He said, he said that this invasion in Kursk is actually good. Now, why would he argue that the invasion in Kursk is actually a good thing? Because it's actually ludicrous to say something that ridiculous. But he said it's good because now it's going to prevent the peace process, which will allow us to take more land. So it's good that Ukrainians are on sovereign Russian soil, taking ground, capturing hundreds of prisoners because it'll stop the peace process. That's just a ridiculous way of trying to apply this. So he's right to not let this guy twist what's being said and say, well, that's a positive thing. So far, this gambit has yielded results for Zelensky. It really has. It shifted the center of gravity, and now we're all talking about Kursk and thinking about Kursk and thinking about, well, what's Putin going to do? And Putin is thinking about what is Putin going to do, or how is he going to deal with this new dilemma. Political, informational, and psychological results. That's right, plus the deliveries of Western weapons. So you even see this in the polling. You see a shift in the polling in the American population saying like who's winning or does Ukraine have a chance? And it's upticked because of the invasion in Kursk. So it is a psychological victory. It's putting a dilemma on Putin. It's an informational victory. It's a military victory. All these are positives. Now, does it counterbalance Pokrovsk? No. Pokrovsk is probably still in harm's way and is in great danger of falling to the Russians. But he's absolutely right. And he's beside himself trying to figure out, why are we doing something? Why is this happening? Why is this allowed to happen? Okay, so that's pretty much. And if I may, I will also want to mention a telegram. And so he shifts gears and talks about something else. But listen, he is truly trying to. He's helping us understand the Russian mindset and like, how can we allow? We're great, Russia. How can we allow this kind of thing to be happening to us? What's going on? And that shows you that they think one, the game is theirs and they're going to win, and this is just getting in the way. And why are we making this? And earlier before this he was saying something like who's responsible? Why isn't somebody being fired? Okay, I didn't show that part. It was a little dry, that section, but that's the way that these guys are thinking about it. So they're beside themselves wondering what's going on in Kursk and why. All right, what do you think about this? Because this little clip helps you understand some insight into the Russian mind. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person who cares about Ukraine.